Hey, ¿qué pasa, Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. Like always, before we begin, I want to thank a couple of people. First of all, I want to thank my friends here at Calexico Brewing Company for allowing me to record today's episode here. Thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate it. I want to thank my sponsors, Camilo Garcia, Jake, Eddie Lopez from Roots Creative, Ms. Norma Galindo, IID Director representing Division 5 and serving the entire Imperial Valley. Valley Sports Network, your Imperial Valley source for sports. Sergio's Tacos and Hotdogs, serving the Imperial, San Diego, and Yuma counties with 8 years of experience of Mexicali-style hot dogs and taquizas. Contact Sergio at 760-562-0057 or look for Sergio's Tacos and Hotdogs on Facebook. I want to thank Eric Reyes and los Amigos de la Comunidad, empowering communities together. Finally, I want to thank David Gastelum. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Imperial or San Diego counties, make sure you contact David. He's not only a realtor, but an investor with over 20 years of experience, and he'll teach you along the way one of the most important investments of your life. Contact David at 760-235-9576. Today we have another candidate. It's been a busy couple of weeks. I've been interviewing candidates, and you know what? For some reason, this election season, I'm enjoying a little bit more. I'm learning a lot, meeting a lot new people. My guest today is Gina Dockstader. Thank you for being here. Did I say your last name correctly?
You did, yes. Yeah? Very good.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for reaching out and wanting to be on the podcast.
Well, thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
Before we get into your campaign and all this, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Again, Gina Dockstader. My maiden name is Young, so depending on my situation, sometimes I use that. Right? So Gina Young Dockstader, 4th generation, grew up here in the Imperial Valley. My parents are Rick and Lori Young. They currently reside in Brawley. My grandparents were Bill and Betty Young. And then my great-grandfather actually served on this same IID board, same division, 1933 to 1940. So I think that's pretty neat. Born here, went to school grade school in Nyland, went to high school in Calipat. Then I furthered my education, went to Northern Arizona University, have a major in public relations, have a minor in business management. Y yo tengo también un minor en español, have a minor in Spanish too. And after school, moved to San Diego for a year to use my very important degree as a waitress at Outback Steakhouse. That was a fun year. Came back. My husband, Dusty Dockstader, was here. We'd been kind of dating on and off, kind of a love story thing. And
high school sweethearts? Or
no, actually, no. He wanted to ask me out in high school, but he was too nervous. And he's a good guy. So in high school, girls don't like the good guys. We like the bad boys. Yeah. So it's probably a good thing that didn't happen. Yeah. So I was actually in college, and one of my best friends was dating his roommate. My name came up in conversation. He called me, and I was going to come home for the summer, and I said, sure, I'll go on a date with him. So a little bit more to the story, a little on off in there, but I decided, okay, I'm all done in San Diego. I'm coming back home. I'm going to marry him. Yeah.
So, going back to being a server, I was a server for a while as well. Mm-hmm. I worked at Applebee's here, and, something that I think a lot of young people should experience that, because it's humbling. It's really hard work, but at the same time, it's really fun. I really enjoyed my time as a server and working in the food service.
I enjoyed it too, talking to different people. You get your regulars, You're hustling. The time goes by so fast. One of my worst stories, I have two. One, I spilled a plate of ribs on the person, their lap all over them. It was terrible. And another time, coming around the corner, tray full of food, my hand up high. full. Big crash. All their plates destroyed on the ground. The whole restaurant heard it, but nobody saw it. I didn't know, but my manager had gone over to the table and said, we're so sorry, the kitchen's back. He covered for me.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that. Well, I'm not that kind of person. I went to the table and said, I'm sorry, did you hear that crash? I just spilled all your food. It's going to take a little bit longer.
Wow. So. At least you were honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, you come back, obviously, you come from a farming background. Mm-hmm. And there's this kind of like this conversation going on, because we have this thing where here in the Valley, we're like, they're farmers, they're background in farmers. They, there's kind of like this what's the word I want to... People think that because you're a farmer, you want to, have more rights over the water or sell the water, because we've had issues with that here in the valley. What's your stance when it comes to water rights and stuff?
I believe that the water rights are tied to the land, but the IID, I really think it's a unique partnership that we have. I want the water to stay here with the land. I want everything to continue as it is. I don't want people to sell their water rights over to Metropolitan Water District, to LA. It's I actually think the people that set up the IID were really smart in that all three are tied together.
Okay.
Does that help answer your question? Not so much, does it?
Yeah, a little bit. But can you, for people that might not know, the background as to what you're saying, that it's all three are tied together, can you elaborate a little bit into that?
So I also don't want to see Owens Valley. Are you familiar with that area where they basically sold their water to Metropolitan Water District, and it dried up the land? Once the water leaves here, once the water leaves this fields, once the water leaves the land, what happens to our jobs? What happens to our people? I have various companies here. So if you add them all up together, that's about 100 people you're affecting, 100 employees. Well, it's not just those 100 employees that you're responsible. Most of them are married. So now you're affecting 200 people. Most of those people have children. Let's just say they have 2 children. A lot of those families are bigger. We have one gentleman at the ranch. I don't know, he's on like number 13 or number 14.
Wow.
Little shout out to Emilio. So we're affecting a lot of lives. I don't take that lightly. And I think that's part of my upbringing, that I grew up in Nyland, that I grew up in Calipat. You always have to, there might be a little bit of disconnect where you always have to prove yourself, that you're humble, that you're caring, that you care about the people. I can still remember my dad taking me to Payless when Payless used to be a shoe store. And I can remember I couldn't make up my mind between the white pair or the blue pair. And I remember my dad buying me both pairs of shoes. And I remember thinking, when I go to school tomorrow to Nyland, right, with my same 30 kids, I can't even tell them I got 2 pairs of shoes. That already, at that really young age, to me was a lot of money.
Yeah.
That was crazy. So I'm just trying to share a little bit of my history of who I am and how I grew up.
Yeah, and it paints that picture, that scenario we were talking about, where like some people that want to sell their water and they even go all the way to Supreme Court to fight it. It paints a bad picture for every other farmer that's not wanting to do that, and that's
right.
where you're coming from. Where like you need to prove, it's harder for someone like you need to prove that you want to keep the water here.
That I want to keep the water here, and that I'm here for the people. And are you familiar at all with Western Farms when they came in? There was a group that came in, the Bass Brothers, and they came up on the north end. They bought a lot of ground at one time, and there's always rumors, hearsay, that they're buying it up because they want the water rights, because they want to sell the water. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money in water. It's crazy.
It's a really a big commodity. Like people want the water. Like the natural resource of water is like LA is not really even supposed to exist because there's really no water around it. So
right. Think of Las Vegas too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a desert. So I just think that we're really in a unique situation. I think we need to keep the water here. We need to keep the water rights with the land, but we need to remember that the IID is holding that in trust as well. I just think that you really need all three. It needs to be a partnership.
Yeah. We were talking before we started recording about, this is your first time running for elected office. And
right. And I went big.
Yeah.
I admit it. I went big. Yeah. It's a little wacky.
Yeah. And why now? And,
it's kind of funny. A friend of mine, one of my other best friends, she mentioned to me the other day, she said, Gina, you have talked about being on the IID board for a really long time. And I said, what? Have I really? And she said, oh yeah, ever since I can remember, you used to just casually say, I'm going to run for the board someday. I can't even remember exactly who it was. South End Farm. Somebody at some function brought it up to me a long time ago. At that point in my life, I'm still about family first. My kid was young. I was still in my business. Did not have the time available to devote to this. And I have been working on my businesses, working on my companies. So you don't have time. You pay attention to the politics, you listen, you think, oh, somebody should really do something about that. We should really put somebody in there. We really need to, we read the issues obviously when they come out in the paper. We get upset over the QSA. We get upset over different items that are going on. But when I told my dad, I'm going to run for the IID board, he said, are you sure? He wasn't too sure about that either. Yeah. And because you are opening yourself up, right? I'm opening myself up to a whole nother world. The politics, the junk that goes on behind is, and I'm not a politician. I don't like that. If you're gonna talk trash about me, don't tell me. Don't tell my best friend. Don't tell me. I don't even want to know. Just, and of course you still need to know the basics of what's going on, what people are saying. But I guess I've always wanted to do it because I believe in the Valley. I believe this is so important that I think I need to. I think we need somebody on the board that's got some business, somebody that is level-headed. And my major is PR. I'm fairly decent with people. I can get people to feel comfortable. It's something that I feel very passionate about. So that's kind of why I'm running. Yeah, it's a little crazy, I have to admit, jumping into this particular arena.
Yeah, because a lot of people start at, I don't know, like a school board or city council, and then they jump out to county or IID, which is, a little bit higher than city council or school board. Do you feel that, you say you're not a politician, but it's, even though they don't deal, they do deal with politics because they go to Sacramento and deal with, all these laws and stuff like that. But do you feel that, not having that background or that experience is going to kind of affect you a little bit in the long run, being in the ID board?
No, isn't that funny? You would think my answer should be yes, but no, because I believe in what I'm doing, because I like to read, I like to be educated, because I think what I'm bringing to the board is even better than the politics. It's the business part that I'm bringing that maybe some of the other people don't have, so that I still think I'm a good fit.
Yeah.
And aren't we tired of the politics anyway? Sometimes you kind of want somebody that's maybe not quite so jaded as far as that.
Yeah, true. You have a background in business as well. And a lot of the talking points is, I'm gonna keep the electric rate low, and all this stuff that people want to hear. You with your background in business, how do you keep the rates low when you gotta deal with infrastructure, you gotta deal with the employees, you got to deal with lawsuits and all these things that the IID is dealing with? How do you kind of make people understand that, yes, you're going to try to keep the rates low, but it's not something that you can promise 100%?
Right. No, and you're exactly right. A lot of politicians, they do promise that, though, right? I'm coming a little bit more from the business perspective. I also don't want to raise the rates, but also from the business perspective, there's questions in the budget. Can we move things around? Is there interest in certain places that need to be moved over? Can things be paid for a different way? There's just so much to do with numbers and where the numbers are coming from, that I just think that my background will help that way. And I've been talking to a lot of people. A lot of people have different ideas. I'm not going to have the best idea, but somebody I know might. You need to be open. You need to be ready to listen. You need to be able to hear all that and take that to it.
Yeah. Right now the ID board is, there's a division. And a lot of people say like that's not good, or some people say that's, it's a good thing to have division because not everybody is I mean, everybody has their own opinions, and it shows in the board. Do you think? What do you think about the division right now in the IID board?
Difference of opinions are good. It lets you talk things out. It lets you hash things out. But we need to have respect. No personal attacks. I need to be able to disagree with you without, and I've been very careful on how I come in, because I don't want to talk trash. I don't want to talk about trash about anybody. You still need to be coming careful. I am not going to change your mind if I'm talking trash to you. You're automatically going to close up. You're not going to listen to another word I say when I say, hey, let's take the money for the interest. Let's lower the ECA rate for June, July, and August. Let's do this. Let's try it. But if you come in and you work with people, it helps. Again, you have to have that difference of opinion, because even when I'm talking to other people, even a farmer has different thoughts on how things should work as far as on-farm conservation compared to a tenant farmer. And if I hadn't had these conversations, it would never have occurred to me. You just think everybody thinks like you think, and they don't.
Yeah. Do you think that there's a world where, everybody's kind of happy, where the ratepayers are happy with the rates, and farmers are happy with, the way they're able to handle their water rights and, make decisions as they want to? Do you think there's a world here in the Imperial Valley, or a dimension here in the Imperial Valley where that can happen?
My glass is half full, not half empty. So I do think so. I think you're always going to have somebody that wants you to do something better. Somebody is always, you can't please everybody all the time, but you can please most of the people most of the time. I really think that's a consensus that can happen. But you have to have a lot of input, and you have to listen. Everybody needs to feel like you're listening to them, and you do need to listen. That's how you get good ideas.
Yeah. And you're running for Division 3, right?
Correct.
And which covers which areas?
Nyland, Calipat, and Brawley.
And, how does a director for Division 3 make decisions that keeps your constituents happy, but at the same time doesn't affect the whole valley?
I think obviously Division 3, so those are my people, right? That's where I grew up. I am going to be protecting Division 3. I am. That's straight up. That's how that's going to go. However, it's the same thing again. I'm not going to get whatever I want done if I'm also not paying attention to the rest of it. We're still the valley. It's just like in sports, right? Calipat has the axe game. They don't like Hoville for, whatever the week is. What happens when you go out of town and you're in San Diego and Calipat and Holtville is there? Oh my goodness, we are best buddies because we're from the valley.
Yeah.
So it's funny how you can really come together.
Yeah. It's a good example to show. When somebody in the valley is playing like Imperial, they went up to state, and the girls in Imperial, like everybody was rooting for them here in the valley. So, but it is hard to look out for your constituents, and because every town in the valley is different, has different needs, a different population, and it's kind of hard to make decisions that's gonna be the best for your area, your division.
Right. And you have to look out for your division. That's why they're electing you as well, right? We're a little closer to the Salton Sea. It's a little closer to our hearts because when the wind's blowing, and so obviously I'm going to probably have a little more focus than maybe some of the other ones. Maybe not. Who knows? You never know. Everybody kind of picks what they really like, what they really focus on.
Yeah. Recently there's a big decision on, the lithium, extraction. What's your take on lithium here in the valley? The extraction of it.
Well, it could be a game changer, right? I still want to see it though. I'm all about it. I love the press. The Secretary of Energy was here yesterday. Yeah. Did you read about that in the?
I didn't read, but I saw people. There was a forum and people were there.
Yeah, I'm going to give a little shout out to my son Tanner because he's CTE. He's in the welding program in Calipat High School. Mm-hmm. It's spring break right now, so they had him come in. They didn't tell him who was coming. He knew it was hush hush. He went in because he was supposed to kind of demonstrate the welding program. He made Jennifer, he cut out her name with the plasma table. We have a plasma table at the school, and gave it to her. And so everybody told me he did really well, and I wasn't invited. So anyway, they said he did really. So hopefully it will be obviously very good for the valley. Hopefully it will bring jobs in. Hopefully this will really help. Nyland has been devastated since the fire, especially Calipat. They all need help. So hopefully we'll get some of those royalties, right? 50% of the royalties will go to the IID, the water department, the other 50 to the feds, because they own some of that ground as well. I envision, hopefully, some of those royalties going back to the community benefits. Hopefully, again, like you and I were speaking earlier, we're both into the technical, the career side. Hopefully some of that money will go to that. We can, again, train these kids up to do some of those jobs out there. We should already have them somewhere learning geothermal, learning the gauges, learning the pipe fitting, learning so that they have those jobs, so that our kids will want to stay here and make a good living too.
Yeah, and because it's not only the labor part. There's obviously going to need engineers or people that know biology or science, and if we entice our young people to come back and work here in the plant. Are you worried about any environmental issues with the extraction in the long run? No, I'm not saying they're not there, right? And somebody will bring it to our attention, I'm pretty sure, if there is some. But at this point in time, no, because we already have geothermal. We already are experiencing that. And then that will put more energy on the grid as well. Yeah, for sure. Let me look at here. I know, like I said, I was looking at your press release from the Calexico Chronicle. You said you want to also focus a lot of your effort on the Salton Sea. Like you said, Calipat and all the cities in the north or take the brunt of that. When it's windy. Yes. What would you want the state to be more accountable for? We need to keep that awareness going. We were doing really well, I feel, before COVID hit. People were going to Sacramento. It was in the news, the Sunny Bono. People were excited about the birds, about the flyaway. I felt like we were up in the forefront. More people knew about the problem. You don't live here, you don't see it, you don't know. You just kind of vaguely hear something. So I think we really need to keep that up. I think there needs to be more dialogue between the Salton Sea Authority and what they're doing, and the federal government and the IID. I think there needs to be more regular updates. They do have programs going on up there, but I don't feel like we're informed, that we don't know what's going on. And we're going to do study after study after study, which is, studies are good, but let's get going. Let's figure something out. Let's see if some of these programs are working. Yeah, because there was a time where it was in the national news where people were coming out and they were investing so much money, and then for a while there was a talk about putting in a pipe, and it was coming in from Silva Cortez and feeding the Salton Sea. But I don't know where that, like you said, there's not a lot of updates. Exactly. I think that the updates are essential, and I know the board, right? They have so many things going on. It kind of goes by the wayside. You forget, and again, COVID came and messed up the whole world. So, but we got to get back into the regular. It needs to be on the regular, not just when everybody feels like it. And it helps put more pressure too. Okay, what did we do? This is going to take years. We need to get going. Yeah, and I mean, a project like that obviously is not going to be solved overnight. That's correct. And I mean, here in Calexico, there's been some changes. How they are encasing the new river, and that's the water that feeds to Salton Sea, and all these. There's been changes here and there that are progress that we kind of see, but like you said, we need a little bit more information or updates. This is going on, or get the people excited about it, or at least know that there is still work going on for the Salton Sea. I think there needs to be more dialogue. I think there needs to be more dialogue with the Salton Sea, and then I do think that the
that the board also needs to have more dialogue with the board of supervisors. I just think there needs to be more communication there. They used to do 2-on-2s, I believe it was called, where they had meetings, right? Because you can't have 3 because of the Brown Act. So they had 2s-on-2s, which I think is great because then you're communicating. Things get done so much faster because you think they know about a problem, but they don't know, or they forget, or it's not on their radar. So I think that's another thing in connection too with the lithium that's going to happen, so that everybody knows, okay, are they getting a development break? How's that going? How's the environmental going? I just think that is so important.
Yeah. We're a couple months away from, election day. Is it a couple months? Maybe.
Yeah, June.
Yeah. You obviously announced a while back. What's been, the biggest eye opener that you've had since you decided to run for IID?
Okay, we're going to pretend. Remember, my glass is half full, but we're going to go the other way for a second. Let's pretend I lose. If I lose, here's what I'm going to take with me. The outpouring of support. How many people will randomly stop me and say thank you for running? Can you hear me? I'm getting emotional. Oh my gosh, such a girl. I will take that with me. That I just feel like I've had so much support that part has been great. And I tell myself daily, except for the forum last night, I was very, very nervous about that. I'm really trying to enjoy the process, right? Enjoy this part. Try to enjoy the fundraiser. I said I like reading, I like studying. I enjoy that. I'm enjoying my meetings with people. I'm enjoying learning and listening. So I'm trying to take that with me. But honestly, it's the support that I have received. I have been overwhelmed.
Yeah, and something that you mentioned also is that, you've been learning a lot. Because, like you said, like we kind of hear here and there, about things that are going on. But once you're in the thick of it, you kind of like know more than the normal person knows.
And do you know how many people know stuff? Oh my goodness. Like they know the numbers. They know the numbers down to the point. They know if I'm going to get 100,000 acre feet wrong. They know. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
It's amazing how many people that are not running for the board that know so much.
Yeah.
But the good thing about that is we do have people out there that are watching. So they're watching what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's good because it's holding people accountable as to, what they really know or what they're really fighting for or decisions they're making. There's people out there that are holding people accountable, and it's good to know. It makes you feel safe that there's somebody out looking out for us. Not.
Yeah, that surprised me too. So that makes me feel good.
If you don't come up on top, if you don't win,
yeah.
Do you have any plans of maybe running for a city council or school board? No.
I'm going back to my life. I'm going back to my regular life. My mother-in-law is actually on the school board on my son's on Calipat High School board, and she's been there for a long time. We have talked about that before. I just feel like that's a conflict. If she's on there, I can't be on there.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's good for the family, although we probably would agree on everything, but I don't think it's good for the dynamics either. Yeah. I think it's kind of not fair, right? So
yeah, the community might think like, oh, it's conflict of interest.
And I kind of do think that, right? So anyway, no, I know that's crazy. No, I'll go back to my regular life.
Yeah, it's crazy that you decided to run for, this position specifically and not have any interest in, a smaller position.
Because I'm not a politician. I mean, yeah, I can't run for city council in Calipat. I don't live in the city. I live in the country. So, and the ID is what I feel. That's what my passion's for. So that's what you got to do. You got to do what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
So.
Oh well, yeah. It's interesting, but
yeah.
We're at a half hour. Anything that you?
Yeah, I want to say. I do want to say one more thing. I know there's no trash talking, but in one of your previous podcasts, I want to defend two people. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Tony Gallegos and Jerry Gana had something derogatory said about them, and they're my friends. So I just want to publicly defend them. And I just want to say, good for them that they care about the politics for the Latino, for the Hispanic community. Good for them. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good thing. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there, and Jerry did put my signs up, and good for him. I'm paying him for that. He's a hustler. He's hustling. Yeah. Good for him. This is the American way, right? Yeah. So I just want to put that little tidbit out there.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. You know, if I let somebody else slip in one in, you know, you're more than welcome. But anything else that, you know, besides that I didn't, you know, ask you or talked about that you would like to add about to our conversation today?
Good question. No, are you going to ask me for my 2 minutes? Sometimes you do that.
Yeah,
you ask for my little 2 minute.
2 minute, your elevator pitch.
Yeah, because I'm kind of gonna. I just might do that, but
do your elevator pitch too.
Okay.
I didn't ask you that, but yeah, it's been one of my questions that I've been asking. You know.
That's kind of been your hallmark, right? Your last statement. Yeah. So, okay, to make it 2 minutes. I'm gonna use my notes a little bit, and I'm gonna skip because we talked about my background, we talked about my name, we talked about all that good stuff. Do you want to talk about my companies at all?
If you think it's something that the listeners want to listen to, that they might want to know about, you know, as what do you call it?
Informational.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm skipping around here on my elevator speech. So you're not getting the true one because it might take longer than 2 minutes. Okay. Just to let you know, once again, Gina Dockstader, running for Division 3. I'm the sole owner of D&G Farms, small farm with organic medjool dates. My husband and I, Dusty Dockstader, have a trucking company, D&G Trucking. We started that business in 2006 with 1 truck and have grown that business, so we now have 5 trucks. My uncle Pat Dockstader started P&T Enterprises in 1992, and my husband and I became co-owners in 2016. This is our larger farming entity, and we farm almost 4,000 acres, 1,000 acres of organic citrus and organic medjool dates, and the rest is forage crops, alfalfa, Sudan, and Bermuda. Our sister company, Docks Organics, is our organic citrus packing facility. It's located outside of Brawley. And I've worked for my father, Rick Young. Rick Young Ranch is also located in Calipat. We did already talk about my community involvement, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that. But here you go. Here's the tearjerker. This is what you want to hear. I'm running for IID District 3 because I care. I believe the next few years will be challenging times for our district. I believe strong business skills will be crucial for upcoming deadlines. The need for our family and our friends to be able to afford the energy rates is important. The need for farmers, employers, infrastructure to be able to have the water, to keep our water available is crucial. I'm running so that I can continue to farm, so that my son can continue to farm, so that the valley will not lose its precious resources. I do believe the IID board needs to be a cohesive group that works together for the good of the valley, whether it's for the sand harrow, the farmer, the school teacher, the janitor, the mother. It's vital that we protect our valley's interests. I do want to include my 4 points on my platform. My top priorities are 1, to ensure the water rights and the volume of water is beneficial for our entire community. 2 is to maintain reasonable energy rates, and we need to upgrade the infrastructure. We didn't talk about that. Yeah. We need to do that. 3, we need to hold the state accountable for the Salton Sea. And 4, we need to develop and implement a succession plan for many of the key positions at IID. Because there are people that are coming up that are going to retire that are important positions. We need to make sure we have something in place. One other thing I do want to say is, because people say, well, you have so many businesses, you have so much going on, what are you doing? Since I decided I was going to run, I've already started training people. I'm taking a step back from the businesses. I will oversee the financials. You still need somebody to kind of keep an eye on the books. Yeah. I have great people that work for me. I'm taking a step back so I can devote full-time to the IID. It's a full-time. I'm fully expecting to go to Sacramento to go lobby. I'm going to put the time and the effort in. Yeah. So I'm not doing this because it's a job. I'm doing it because I care and because I think we need it for the valley. I think if we want the valley to continue, I think it's important. I think we have a lot of outside people that are looking, whether it's Metropolitan Water District, whether it's San Diego. We have water cuts that are coming down. It's gonna happen, right? The droughts here, every time I see the news, what am I looking for? The rain. Where's the rain? I want the rain. I want the rain and the snow somewhere, so we get some of that snowpack. Yeah. So that's why I'm running. I'm running because I'm passionate, and I am trying to enjoy the experience as I go. So thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for reaching out and being here today. Can people follow your campaign on social media and your website?
Gina 4 IID, like so. Gina the number 4 IID.
Okay, and I'll put in the description of today's episode. I'll put links so people can click on it and go to your. And that's for both Instagram and Facebook, or you only have Facebook?
I have Facebook. Oh my goodness, do I have Instagram? Yeah, I think I do. That's terrible, huh?
Okay.
Terrible.
I'll look for it.
I do. It's because I'm a Facebook girl. That's my generation. So
yeah.
So I do Facebook all the time.
Yeah, I think Instagram is more of a
younger.
Current, yeah.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate that, Jose. That was really sweet.
No. No, and I'm including myself in that crowd. I just turned 40, so I feel I'm feeling
Happy
the.
birthday.
Thank you. I'm feeling the. Where I'm not as young as I used to now.
Yeah. My birthday's coming.
Oh, really?
It's on Mexican Mother's Day.
Oh, wow.
May 10th.
May 10th?
I'm going to be 50.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks.
It's a big number.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
50 is a new 40. That's what I heard. And 40 is a new 30.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for coming on and sharing. It was a good conversation. I think people listening or watching are gonna get to know a little bit more about you. I mean,
I love that you do this in the sense that you're trying to get to know the person. You're trying to get to know the kind of person they are. So I actually really liked it. I enjoy listening to your podcast.
Thank you. I think it's this time around is a lot more people are listening to it. I'm getting a lot more feedback. I've been doing it for 5 years now. And people are like, "How long have you been doing it?" Like, 5 years. I'm like, really? Like, it's the first time I hear it. But I'm thankful that I'm able to talk to the candidates and maybe help the people out there make a decision in June. And if it goes to runoff, maybe we'll have another conversation later on. But yeah, I think I'm enjoying it a little bit more this time around. For some reason, before it wasn't my cup of tea, but now I'm because at the same time I'm learning a lot. And it's keeping me up at night sometimes because it's really important issues. Yeah. Like it's getting me to think more about the decisions we're making and who's representing us and stuff like that. So,
and I think too, after COVID, I mean, I'm hoping that's why is there 4 people running for this? It's just crazy to me. But I think because of COVID, I think everybody's getting a little bit more involved.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Even during COVID, even in the 2020 elections, a lot of, I talked to a lot of young people that were getting involved in politics, or not only running, but helping other people's campaigns and getting involved in that aspect. And I think I think the pandemic really made a lot of people kind of get involved, and it's good to see that, though.
It is good to see the younger people getting involved. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, thank you once again, and
thank you.
I hope everybody out there enjoyed this conversation, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.